Good afternoon, everybody. How is all my wonderful subscribers and viewers out there doing today? I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. It's Nikki D, and welcome back to the Nikki D channel. Today, we're going to be doing WWE Top 10 Most Random Royal Rumble Entrances. Tomorrow evening, we're going to be having the 2025 Royal Rumble live from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we're really hoping for some surprise random entrants. Who do you think is the most random Royal Rumble entrant of all time? Let me know down in the comment section below. You want to say hi? You want to talk about wrestling? Just post a message down in the comment section below, because I read and reply to every message I see down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video, share the video all over social media, and smash that subscribe button so you can be notified of when I drop my next video. With that being said, I hope everybody continues to have a wonderful day, and without further ado, let's get to number 10, Doug Gilbert. We're going all the way back to the 1996 Royal Rumble for this entrant. And surprisingly, this entrant is not even the oldest entrant on this list here today. But Doug Gilbert entered the 1996 Royal Rumble at the number 14 position. And he wasn't in the Rumble for very long. He was only there for 2 minutes and 59 seconds, which is going to be a common theme with these entrants in this video here today. Doug Gilbert also did not have an elimination in this Rumble, another common theme in our video here today. But Doug Gilbert was just a splash in the pan, blink if you'll miss him type of superstar in WWF at the time, and he was ended up being eliminated by Vader, and honestly, Doug Gilbert did make a splash in this Rumble. Not a big splash, but a name that you probably don't know unless you actually watched the 1996 Royal Rumble a few times, because Doug Gilbert was one of those superstars that even I, a wrestling fan that's been watching since the Attitude Era, learned something about when I had to do research for this video. That is my number 10 entrant on this list, Doug Gilbert. And we have our first honorable mention of the evening with the Hurricane. Stand back, there's a hurricane coming through. Hurricane Helms showed up in the 2021 Royal Rumble, and a lot of people were shocked because we haven't heard from the Hurricane in about 20 years. And I'm talking about the Hurricane, not Gregory Helms, the Cruiserweight champion, once upon a time in 2002. I'm talking about the green mask. I'm talking about the one that would go bar to bar with The Rock, talking about the Scorpion King. But the Hurricane was the number 23 entrant in the 2021 Royal Rumble. He didn't really last that long either. One of the shortest amount of time lasting out of anybody on this list, only lasting 30 seconds. Which kind of makes it obvious that he didn't have any eliminations. But this was more of a comedic entrant. He literally came down to the ring, said, "Stand back, there's a hurricane coming through," before attempting to double choke slam both Big E and Bobby Lashley. To nobody's surprise, it did not work and was quickly eliminated by both the men. And the Hurricane, yeah, he could have had a few more minutes in the Royal Rumble, but it really wouldn't have mattered regardless, because this entrant was more of a nostalgia pop. This was a shout out to go back to the WWE fans from the Attitude Era that liked the Hurricane gimmick. And the Hurricane was definitely a random entrant in the Royal Rumble. Number 9, Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace was the number 5 entrant in the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble, and the amount of time Jordynne Grace lasted in this Royal Rumble event was longer than everybody on this list combined, and it really wasn't even close. Jordynne Grace maybe had 0 eliminations, yes, but she lasted 19 minutes and 10 seconds, which is very good for her first Royal Rumble. I really think this was more of a shock factor, considering the fact that she came over from TNA to be in the Women's Royal Rumble, and she is the TNA Women's Knockout Champion of the world. So Jordynne Grace, seeing her in the Royal Rumble and last as long as she did, I was very surprised with how much time she got. She ended up being eliminated by Bianca Belair, but still, nobody saw this entrant coming in the 2024 Royal Rumble. People who didn't know was like, who is that? And the people who did watch TNA was in utter and complete shock to the point where they probably couldn't even speak, because seeing a TNA superstar in a WWE event, let alone a Royal Rumble, was unheard of. Even in early 2024, it was unheard of. So when Jordynne Grace's music hit, everybody in the arena completely lost their minds, and honestly, it was one of the most random Royal Rumble entrants to recent date. Number 8, Ernest Miller. We go from 2024 back 2 decades to 2004's Royal Rumble, the SmackDown's Royal Rumble, which only had 15 superstars. Ernest Miller came out number 6, and he really didn't last very long, but then again, Ernest Miller was one of those flash in the pan, blink if you'll miss type superstars, very similar to Doug Gilbert in that aspect. He didn't have any eliminations in his Royal Rumble appearance, and he only lasted 42 seconds before being eliminated by Kurt Angle at the time. But Ernest Miller wasn't the type of superstar that you ever thought would be champion. Ernest Miller spent a lot of his WWE career in the cruiserweight division, but still, seeing Ernest Miller in the Royal Rumble was definitely a shocking moment for a lot of the fans, and it was really just a random moment overall, considering we hadn't seen Ernest Miller in a storyline or in the ring for any particular action in a very long time. So a lot of the fans in attendance at the time really struggled to figure out who Ernest Miller was, but it really didn't matter because, like I said, he only lasted 42 seconds in the Royal Rumble, and the Ernest Miller entrant was mainly for those hardcore, dedicated WWE fans. Number 7, Ricardo Rodriguez. Ricardo Rodriguez entered in the number 8 spot in the 2012 Royal Rumble. He was the manager to Alberto Del Rio, and he actually is the first person on this list here today with an elimination. He helped Mick Foley eliminate Justin Gabriel from the Royal Rumble. He lasted 2 minutes and 19 seconds, and Ricardo Rodriguez, I really feel like was just a slot filler in this situation, more of a comedic role when it came to his entrance in the Royal Rumble, because Ricardo Rodriguez was never really known as a wrestler. He was decent at promo work, being able to hype up Alberto Del Rio and introduce Alberto Del Rio to the ring, kind of like Ludwig Kaiser does with Gunther over the past few years. Ricardo Rodriguez was excellent at being able to do promo work and stuff like that. But lackluster ring ability for Ricardo Rodriguez is the main reason why he only lasted 2 minutes and 19 seconds in this Royal Rumble before being eliminated by Santino Marella. But Ricardo Rodriguez was a really random entrant in a lackluster 2012 Royal Rumble. In my opinion, honestly, WWE may have benefited from dipping into the past a little bit more for this Royal Rumble, because the roster that they had at this particular time really struggled to fill a 30-man Royal Rumble, hence seeing Ricardo Rodriguez in the Royal Rumble in 2012. Number 6. Vicky Guerrero. Excuse me. Vicky Guerrero entered the 2018 Royal Rumble number 16 overall, and as soon as she got to the top of the entranceway and walked down to the ring, that is all you heard her say on the microphone over and over again. Obviously, Vicky Guerrero wasn't entering the Women's Royal Rumble to wrestle. This was more for a nostalgia pop than anything, and she made that clear with how many times she said, "Excuse me," as she didn't have any eliminations in this Rumble, obviously. She only lasted 57 seconds in this Royal Rumble, because with how many times she said, "Excuse me," it quickly annoyed the women in the match, kind of like I'm probably annoying you right now with how many times I'm saying, "Excuse me," before being eliminated by Becky Lynch, Michelle McCool, Ruby Riott, and Sasha Banks. And even after she was eliminated, she grabbed the mic and once again said, "Excuse me," as Vicky Guerrero, being in the Women's Royal Rumble in 2018, was one of the most random Royal Rumble entrances. Why? Because, excuse me. Number 5. Johnny Knoxville, 2022. Johnny Knoxville was the number 9 entrant in the 2022 Royal Rumble, and he was there more to promote his new movie, The Jackass 2.0, I think it was. And not to mention, he was starting a little back and forth on social media with Sami Zayn, who is also in this Royal Rumble. Johnny Knoxville wasn't in this Royal Rumble very long. If you went to the bathroom and came back, you probably missed him, as he was only in there for 1 minute and 26 seconds and didn't have any eliminations at all. But still, a lot of people were in shock when we saw Johnny Knoxville come out and come down to the ring to compete in the Royal Rumble. He was eliminated by Sami Zayn, which made perfect sense considering Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn would go one-on-one a little over 2 months later at WrestleMania 38. In a very comedic back and forth hardcore match. Honestly, if you're into that kind of thing, I'd go check it out. WrestleMania 38, Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. There are a lot of good comedic moments from that. But Johnny Knoxville's time in the Royal Rumble, like I said, was only 86 seconds long. But still, Johnny Knoxville, one of those very few celebrities that has competed in a Royal Rumble, and one of the most random Royal Rumble entrances of this current time. Number 4, Cameron. Cameron was entrant number 13 in the 2022 Royal Rumble, and this was about as random as it gets because Cameron was one half of the Funkadactyls alongside Naomi back when Brodus Clay would come out in 2012, 2013, and we really hadn't heard anything from Cameron since then. And a lot of people in 2022 had no idea who Cameron was. And this was another one of those entrances where if you went to the bathroom and came back, you probably missed it. Cameron had 0 eliminations in this Royal Rumble, and she was only in it for 51 seconds. So not really a lot of time. I do think that Cameron could have gotten a few more minutes, but at the end of the day, she was eliminated by Sonya Deville, and Cameron was one of those surprise random entrances just because at the time WWE didn't have enough healthy women on the roster to really make a 30-woman Royal Rumble. So they kind of had to dig into their past a little bit and pull out some random entrances. And in 2022, Cameron was really one of those random entrances in the Royal Rumble. Number 3, the Great Kabuki. Now it's time to get in the Mandalorian and go way back to 1994's Royal Rumble, where the Great Kabuki was the number 22 entrant to the Rumble. Did have one elimination, which was Mabel, but he had the help from Crush, Bam Bam Bigelow, Thurman Plug, Shawn Michaels, Greg Valentine, and Tatanka in this elimination. But the Great Kabuki really wasn't in this Rumble for that long either. He was in it for 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Really was a random entrant because nobody really thought that the Great Kabuki would be showing up into the Royal Rumble. He was eliminated by Lex Luger. In after 2 minutes and 46 seconds, but the Great Kabuki really surprising a lot of the fans because a lot of people really didn't know who he was, and the people who did know who he was didn't expect him to show up in WWF. But the Great Kabuki, one of the most random Royal Rumble entrants in WWE history. Number 2, Santina Marella 2020. Do we really have to talk about this? Really? It's on this list, really? Well, Okay, Santina Morella was the number 29 entrant in the Women's 2020 Royal Rumble. She or he had 0 eliminations. This was Santino Morella, cross-dressing as Santina. She lasted 1 minute, 1 second, before eliminating themselves after going face to face with Beth Phoenix. And yes, this was a great callback to when Santino did introduce us to Santina Morella. But still, this is a gimmick that I really feel like should have been left in 2009, 2010. It was great for the fans that liked Santina Morella to be able to see him or her appear one more time. But still, this was a spot in the Royal Rumble that could have gone to a lot of other women on the roster, and it was more of a comedic act than anything else, in my opinion. And I didn't not like Santina Morella, when she was in WWE in 2009, 2010. I thought it was funny at the time. But it was funny at the time. In the 2020 day and age, I don't think it went over as well. And honestly, I think it should have been left in 2009, 2010. And I feel like it is the second most random Royal Rumble entrant of all time. Only 2. And before we get to number 1, we have our second honorable mention of the evening. Jillian Hall from the 2021 Royal Rumble. Jillian Hall came out as the number 8 entrant in the Royal Rumble, and a lot of people were in shock. Those that have been watching since the Attitude Era were in shock. They knew exactly who Jillian Hall was. A lot of the newer fans might not have known who she was, but she did last over 8 minutes in the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble, lasting 8 minutes and 3 seconds. She didn't have an elimination in this Royal Rumble, but she didn't need one. Her presence coming down to the ring and her awful attempt at singing was funny enough. It was funny enough in 2007. It was funny enough in 2021 as well. I do think Jillian Hall did a great job playing her character then and now for WWE. At the end of the day, she was eliminated by Billie Kay, but still, it was one of those Royal Rumbles where they needed a few surprise entrants. They needed a few random entrants to really fill up the Women's Royal Rumble card, especially that match. The women's roster isn't what it was. It isn't what it is today, and Jillian Hall was great at being able to go in and compete for 8 minutes in the Women's Royal Rumble. And honestly, it's probably one of the most random Royal Rumble entrances of 2021. Number 1, Drew Carey. The Drew Carey entered the 2001 Royal Rumble as the number 5 entrant, and he was in there for 2 minutes and 54 seconds. He did try to do a little bit of wrestling, but he wasn't really that great at it. He was in this Royal Rumble as a celebrity, more for oh my gosh, is Drew Carey really gonna be in the Royal Rumble? And right after Drew Carey came out, we saw Kane come out as the number 6 entrant. slowly came down to the ring. A big reason why Drew Carey lasted a whole 2 minutes and 54 seconds in this Rumble. Because as soon as Kane got in the ring, Drew Carey saw how big and menacing the Big Red Machine was, and he said, "Forget this." He stepped over the top rope. He put both feet on the floor, and he eliminated himself from the Royal Rumble. And he didn't want any part of the Big Red Machine, Kane. And it was so funny because at that particular time, we had never seen anybody just eliminate themselves from the Royal Rumble. Nowadays, we saw Pat McAfee do it a couple of years ago when he saw how big the Nigerian giant Omos was, which I thought was kind of funny. But Drew Carey was the original person to eliminate himself from a Royal Rumble. It was honestly one of the funniest Royal Rumble moments of its time. And Drew Carey is probably the most random Royal Rumble entrant in WWE history. And that was WWE Top 10 Most Random Royal Rumble Entrants. Who do you think was the most random Royal Rumble entrant of all time? Let me know down in the comment section below. You want to say hi? You want to talk about wrestling? Post a message down in the comment section below, because I read and reply to all the messages that I see. Don't forget to like the video, share the video all over social media, and you made it all the way to the end of this video. Go smash that subscribe button so you can be notified of when I drop my next video. And if you want to see some more of me, Nicky D, then go check out another one of my videos, because I got hours of content that'll keep you entertained well into the evening. With that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. I'm Nicky D. This is the Nicky D channel, and I will see all of y'all beautiful people next time. Bye, y'all.